You wanted to talk about women don't have it easier in dating, because I've said women have dating on easy mode.
Yes.
Women have it easier when it comes to dating. So what's your
notes.
objections there?
Can I just?
Oh, she's got notes. Okay, shit. Yeah, go for it. What you got?
Can I just preface that I'm not saying it isn't hard for men. I'm not saying it's not hard at all. It's probably really hard than it's ever been for men, and especially for the good ones. So I'm not saying that men are privileged overall. So I just want to preface that. And then I want to say that it's meant to... What?
Huh?
What's wrong?
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to say that, yeah, it's meant to be hard for men. Sorry, dating's meant to be hard for men. Yes, okay. All right. So our selection process, I think, as women has been hijacked. So women are basically a bit brainwashed into making choices that are not best for them. That's my first point. 2, in dating there is a physical risk to the woman that men don't have. Number 3, women want sexual exclusivity from a man. Men will date, but this doesn't infer in exclusiveness. Women have to select the best men to fill the earth with. Making the wrong choice has consequences, so we have to make the best decision for men, for the world. The quality of men has deteriorated, so women, so women are born with their value, whereas men have to make their value. I think women are a little bit brainwashed. That's my point. Let's go.
Okay, so you disagree that... So my position is dating is harder for men.
Yeah.
And those are the...
Can we just also define what you mean by dating? So just like getting a date, or is it getting married, or is it having sex?
Sure. I mean, there's different periods where perhaps the difficulty of dating might start equalizing. But let's start off here. So the initial getting to the first date. Let's start there. And we can have conversations of, further down along the pipeline of the courtship process. Okay. So, are women expected to approach men?
No.
Okay. Are women expected to do any chivalrous behavior towards men?
Women shouldn't behave in a masculine way.
Okay. Do women have any burden of initiative at all when it comes to meeting men?
I think women should...
Aside from just showing up or being on a dating app?
I think, so getting to the date, they should maybe smile or make eye contact, which shows to the man, like, yes, you can approach me. You're not going to get rejected.
Does it?
What do you mean?
Okay. All right. Continue. Go ahead.
Okay. So your question is, what does a woman provide on a date?
Here, well, let me tell you what men do, and then let's counter it to what women do, and we'll see if we can come to agreement or disagreement. So here's what men do. Approach, I've got notes too. Approaching, sending the first message, carrying and leading the conversation, soliciting a first date, soliciting your number, setting up the date, carrying, leading the conversation on the date, paying for the date, soliciting a change of venue, or soliciting subsequent dates and the setup and financial responsibility for said dates, moving things forward physically, closing the distance gap, going for the first kiss, moving things, I won't get detailed, but moving things forward physically from there, all the way up until sex and beyond.
So what's hard about that?
That's very convenient for a woman to say who never has to do any of that.
That's not our role to do that.
Right. So what's hard? Okay, here, let's role play. I'm a woman, you're a man. Pick me up. Go ahead.
Well, I definitely just see whether you're interested first and see if you're like me.
I haven't looked at you at all. I'm in the Trader Joe's. You think I'm attractive.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Maybe I would ask a question. I'd be like, oh, I'm looking for this, or what are you buying? And then if you were looking, if you look
I'm buying cantaloupes.
If you look, don't touch me, or don't talk to me, sorry, then I would just be like, back off. I would not continue. But if she's like, oh, hi.
Okay,
yeah,
let's role play the conversation.
I want to say I'm not good at this because I'm not a dude, so I don't know what to do. I've never
Okay, checkmate. You lose.
Okay. Hi there. What are you up to today?
I'm shopping at Trader Joe's.
All right, then. Have a good day. You don't seem interested, so I would back off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You seemed a little bit
Yeah, that's how like
ambivalent.
99% of women are going
I
to
was gonna say,
respond.
men face so much rejection that when they are just getting to the first date, that is a huge milestone. So I will say, like, 100%, it is way more difficult for men to date because women will be approached 10 times more than any man will ever even just get to the first date
Yes,
point.
that is really hard part about being a man. You have to get rejected a lot. That's what you have to do.
Who faces more rejection, men or women?
Men.
Okay, so that wouldn't you be able to make the argument that the sex that faces more rejection would mean that it's harder to date?
No, I wouldn't say that. I
So
think the
women have
consequences-
dating harder because they face less rejection than men?
No, I'm not talking about rejection. I'm
That's
saying
a part of
I
dating.
think there are different.
Is that not part of dating?
Yeah, but there are different ways
Okay.
that dating can be difficult. I think rejection is the hard part for men, and I think there are different things that are hard for women because we have different goals.
What's hard for women?
I've just listed them. Do you want me to list
I mean,
them
you
again?
you listed this fear of violence, but that's like abnormal.
That was like
That's a
one
pretty
of my many
abnormal
points.
dating scenario, huh?
It was one of my many other points.
Okay.
So,
Okay, who has an easier time getting laid?
men. Oh, sorry, women. If they wanted to get laid, a woman probably could. get
Okay.
laid.
Now, isn't that sort of, kind of, the first step towards dating?
No.
If you can't
it's
even,
definitely not the first step in dating.
well, depends on who you ask, but I mean, I would argue for the vast majority of, like, let's exclude like religious people from this. Let's just look at kind of what secular dating looks like. I would argue most adult relationships, perhaps even for religious people, maybe they're not super religious. It's not, let's date for 3 months and then have sex. Most people, I would argue, are having sex fairly early on in the courtship process.
So we're just talking about what most people do because how's that working out? It's not working out very well.
Sure, I agree.
So I don't
But
think I don't think
if,
women should
if
have
it's the
sex
case for
early
most
on.
men that it's hard to get a date, get a relationship, get
Yes,
sex,
It is hard, but it's not.
and if
as
it's
hard.
easier, wait, what do you mean? It's not as hard as it is for women?
Yeah. So I'm just repeating my point.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you stacked up the list of things that like a man would have to do in a relationship as opposed to things a woman would have to do in a relationship, you would say like that more is on the man's side, right?
In dating, I think men have to prove themselves more.
So it's harder if men have to prove themselves. Wouldn't it stand to reason that dating is harder for men?
I think it's harder for women right now in like our climate and now
Is it?
what's happening right now. Yes.
Okay.
I just don't understand what makes it harder for women in this current culture that we live in, which I will agree with you that the dating culture absolutely sucks right now, and that I think there's a lot of problems going on with like feminism, and honestly I feel like women are trying to more like compete with men during dates instead of actually being just the feminine woman
Yes,
that
I
they're
think it's
designed
hard
to
because
be.
most women
But-
are brainwashed and they're competing with men instead of being feminine.
but I don't think that makes it harder for men, because there are
You don't
men
think
that are
being-
still
You don't think
accepting
breaking from
that.
being brainwashed is hard?
No, it is hard, but I'm saying men have a harder time dating right now than women do. Because even a more masculine woman who isn't necessarily a super feminine girl and has more masculine traits, she's still going to have an easier time getting a date with a man than a man is going to have trying to get a date.
Yes, but that's not the goal. Like a woman could get a date with any guy and it's just a waste of her time if he's a dud.
Factually, if you stacked it up though, like the
But you
woman
can-
has more options to
At
choose
least you
from.
can get there. Like most women can at least get to that point. Like there's men out there who can't even get a date. And it's a decent portion of men.
Yeah.
Because I would argue like most men are invisible to most women.
And that's
I'm
why
not
they
arguing against
seek
that.
my services.
Oh my
To
God.
put that in there.
I don't think it's hard for men. I'm not saying it's not hard for men, especially now. I'm just saying it's
Okay.
harder for women.
So, but
It's hard for everyone.
If being constantly rejected is not a big deal, then why don't women approach men more often?
That's not our role to approach men. It's not going to go well. If I approach a man, I'll be like, hey, blah, blah, blah.
He'd
and
actually probably be very.
Be shocked.
Most men would be super flattered.
I think I could easily get sex, which is what happens with approaching, but I couldn't maintain a relationship. It
because you
wouldn't-
approach just by virtue
Yes,
of you
because
approaching.
I'm
I totally
beginning the
disagree with
relationship taking on the masculine role
Masculine
that
role,
sets
yeah.
the tone
But
for
you
the rest of the
can
relationship.
approach a man. First off, most women don't do cold approach. Most women aren't going to like do an overt approach. They're going to do like what you said. Oh, I made eye contact with him, so that's me taking initiative, which it really isn't. But so where am I going with this? I think a woman could approach a man and still like give him room to kind of take over and lead and still be feminine. You don't need to like
Yeah,
approach a dude and be like, wanna fuck?
I think there is
Women
a way
need to
to do
show
it, like
initiative.
dropping the hanky sort of thing, you know?
Right.
You're like, oh no, I dropped, and that's like how we.
But
like,
I actually think like if a girl approached a guy, the thing is though, what occurs to me is women would just approach the really hot dudes and actually probably wouldn't even approach like the guys who are on their level, because they're like, well, if I'm going to take my shot, I'm going to take my shot with like a really attractive dude. So perhaps in that scenario, yeah, you're just going to get sex. But if you actually approach a guy who's commensurate to your attractiveness, I would actually argue that your chance of success is insanely high.